What's up, everybody? Finally recovering from about 5 days of being pretty sick. Just finally had to get out of the house. Just been laying around being sick for 5 days. Whole family's been sick. Finally feel like I can get up and move around and get back to being myself. And as I was in the house last couple days, been listening to a lot of books and doing a lot of studying and watching a lot of videos, and it was interesting. I was listening to a portion of a book that I'm almost finished today, and it was talking about the amount of people that we as human beings are able to have real relationships with, and that number's around 150. And they cited a bunch of different research that was done, and articles that were done, and business models that were built. And each time that a group of people grows beyond around the 150 number mark, they lose a lot of the meaningful relationships that help groups get stuff done. And they used a couple examples. A company in the military is normally around 150 people. One of the bigger companies, and actually one of the people that started and really pioneered this thinking was a gentleman by the name of Gore, who invented or launched Gore-Tex. And the company grew leaps and bounds overnight. And as he would walk through the factories, he realized that once a single factory grew to over roughly 150 people, he lost the ability to interact on a one-on-one basis with those people. He didn't know their names. When he saw them in the hallway or in the lunchroom, there wasn't this relationship to where they felt like they could strike up a conversation with each other. So what he decided to do is, each time they would grow, anytime they got to above a place where they needed more than 150 people, he would open just another factory, another branch, another office where they could recreate that intimate relationship of having less than 150 people. And then the book went on to talk about how online, whether it's Zillow or Facebook or Realtor.com or Snapchat or all these other places, brag about, and I think there's an element of truth to it, but they boast that they're able to expand relationships where otherwise it wouldn't be possible. And by all means, there's certainly a place for it. There's people that I stay in touch with. I get on and I post something, or I do a video and I get likes or I get views. There's this gratification that I get from it. And it's a very small sort of fake version of what we get from real people. And the problem with that is that we tend as people to confuse the reaction or the response or the likes that we get from social media as us having real meaningful relationships with people, and it's definitely not the case. And you can see this all the time when people, like, I've had people that I'm Facebook friends with, I recognize their face, I see them out in public, and they walk right past me. And maybe I recognize them and they recognize me, but there's this awkward feeling of, I know of them, but I don't know them. So I don't feel compelled to strike up a conversation, or I don't feel comfortable having a conversation with them in the middle of the grocery store or at a restaurant. So what happens is that I think too often, if we're not aware of this, if we don't recognize the fact that the likes and the friends and the relationships that we have online can't replace the real meaningful relationships that have an impact in person, real boots on the ground, face-to-face interaction, we go down a dangerous road to where we may feel like we're really having an impact and we're really building relationships, particularly in the office or with our spouse or with our family members, where we might feel that we can skip a family function because we've been in contact through Facebook, or I was just messaging them through Facebook the other day, or I just watched their son play t-ball the other day, so I don't feel obligated to go to the family function. It's a real thing. I know it certainly happens in the workplace. It's much more difficult to build relationships with people that work outside of my office than it is people that I see on a daily basis. And one of the things that this particular author used as an example was there's this network of bloggers and online coaches and people that, you know, run big businesses and do so 100% virtually by blogging and coaching online. And 4 times a year or twice a year, the biggest group of these people get together to have a conference. And the author's point was how ironic that these people basically preach that almost anything that can be done in person can be done virtually, yet 2 to 4 times a year, their biggest gatherings take place in person. And the reality is that nothing replaces a handshake. There is no such thing, and this is what the author said that really hit me, was that there's no such thing as virtual trust. And when you really think about that, we work so hard as companies and online brands and different places to develop trust online because so much of commerce is done there. And some companies have figured it out. Like Amazon, I think, has developed, you know, virtual trust where people have never physically visited an Amazon store, but they've been so reliable for so long and so competitive when it comes to pricing that the customer has come to know and trust Amazon 100% virtually. But that's a rare exception, and it may very well be how things will likely transition in the future, but I personally don't think it's possible. I was in the car business 20 years ago, and something came out called Auto Buy Tell, and it was like the latest and greatest thing. It was where a person could basically shop for a car, negotiate price completely online, and then they would walk into the dealership and hand this piece of paper to the Auto Buy Tell representative, and then they would drive away in a car with no negotiating. You know, they'd have essentially no time spent at the dealership, none of the back and forth that, you know, a lot of people don't like about the car buying experience. And everybody in the car business, particularly salespeople, were concerned that they were going to be replaced by this online service. Well, here we are today. There's probably 50 of these online services, and nothing replaces someone going to a car dealership, asking questions of a salesperson that has a working knowledge of that particular automobile. They develop trust, they build relationships, and ultimately that is what dictates far more of the sale than price or horsepower or reliability or warranty. Yes, those are still factors, but at the end of the day, they don't replace human interaction. It doesn't replace human relationships. It doesn't replace face-to-face, belly-to-belly interaction that you get from your employees, your coworkers, your team members, your spouse, your family. So my point is that don't let Facebook fool you. Don't let likes and views convince you that you have everything that you need. Because while that's gratifying to us, and when I get a like on my video or a view on a video, it gives me this short-term burst of energy and makes me feel accomplished. At the end of the day, it doesn't really move anything for the other person. I haven't really had an impact on them. And I can tell you, I experienced, because really what happens is, it's easy for someone to click a like on a video. It's easy to share it. It's easy to do that. But the people that I have a real impact on reach out to me through Messenger, and then they always request that we get together or have a phone call or an in-person meeting. And then that's where there's real traction that takes place. That's when we're able to really make headway. And then, something goes from, hey, you said something the other day that piqued my interest on a video, to, wow, I really respect where you're coming from. I have a tremendous amount of respect for what you're doing as a business, and I want to be part of it, or I want to be a customer of yours, or I'd like to to somehow be part of what you're doing. So social media and virtual likes and virtual relationships are, I wouldn't even say important. I think they're a valuable part of society these days, and it's undeniable. But just don't be fooled. Don't let a like or a Facebook friend pull you away from just going out and talking to people. There's nothing more impactful than actually just having face-to-face interaction with another human being. It's something in our wiring and something in our DNA that we want to be liked. We want to be part of something. We want to be a group, and that just can't get accomplished online. It's not the same. So make sure that you continue to not replace face-to-face interaction with virtual. Just because someone likes your comment or likes your page or shares your video doesn't mean you shouldn't interact with them. You still need to be a human. You still need to interact with people. So don't hide in a hole, do videos, and be puff your chest out because you get all of these likes or you have all these Facebook friends. Think about who you could sit down with and have dinner and strike up a conversation with and not feel awkward. Those are the real people. And studies and history has shown that it's only around 150 people. Once, we're brain capacity. We can't remember more than about 150 people. Some people more, some people less. That's why the author said it's roughly 150. When businesses get over that size and they forget about the human element and the interaction that's vital to where they are now and how they got there, that's where they run the risk of relationships declining, customer service declining, the inter-office chemistry and the culture declining, because everything gets automated when companies try to scale and they forget about the importance of human interaction. So don't be fooled by Facebook likes. Make sure you're still getting screen time and actual face time with the people that you care about. Don't allow Facebook friends replace real friends. I promise you it's not the same. And when you stop by and you say hi to somebody, it definitely has a different impact on them than a like on Facebook. So pick up the phone, reach out to somebody you care about today, stop by and say hi to them, grab lunch with them, take them to breakfast, stop by and say hello to your coworkers, or pick up the phone and give them a call. I guarantee you they'll appreciate it, and you'll get far more out of it than you will them liking a video or a picture of yours on Facebook. See y'all.